I'm Martha Kirilidu, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the ARL Statistics Webcast, the third of 5 webcasts we offer this year, featuring some of the programs and services we provide from the Association of Research Libraries to the library community. I do have a slide with a couple of logistics. Everyone will be muted to cut down on background noise. We do welcome your questions. As you heard before, please type your questions, and ARL staff stand ready to answer them. We will try to look at some of them and do an interactive Q&A with some of the presenters. Questions and answers that we do not address, as well as those who we address during the webcast, will be distributed to attendees after the webcast along with the recording. So I would like to take a minute to briefly mention the people that will be featured in today's webcast. We have here with us today, apart from myself, Shanika Morris, Statistics Editorial Assistant here at the Association of Research Libraries. We have Steve Hiller, the Director of Assessment and Planning at the University of Washington, and Jim Self, the Director of the Management Information Services at the University of Virginia. The way we have structured this webcast aims at covering a number of important goals. We want to inform the survey coordinators and library staff in ARL member libraries about the nature of descriptive research library statistics, but we also want to inform others that are in non-member libraries. We want to also demonstrate how ARL members and non-member libraries can access the data, and share how you can use the data to make a case for your library. Especially Jim and Steve will focus on that goal. And we will unveil some of the upcoming changes to the annual surveys and the benefits of these changes. So our agenda, I'll do a brief description, then Shanika will cover the ARL Statistics Analytics web interface. Steve Hiller will show you how they've used some of the ARL statistics data at the University of Washington for budget justification purposes. And similarly, Jim Self from the University of Virginia, he'll bring a case study from that institution. Last, we'll talk a little bit about the revisions to the surveys, and Shanika again will come back highlighting a little bit more of the website content, and we will take Q&A as time allows. So the ARL Statistics and Assessment Program aims at describing and measuring the performance of research libraries and their contribution to research, teaching, scholarship, and community service. And we have done that for some years now, even before I was born, through at least the ARL Statistics. The ARL Statistics started back in 1908. But in addition to the ARL Statistics, we also have another very well-established data collection, annual data collection, the ARL Annual Salary Survey. These are the 2 flagship data collection activities and publications that we offer to our member libraries. We often get people calling the office with a question about statistics. So as you can imagine, it is not always obvious if they are referring to the salary survey or the ARL statistics, or for that matter, they may be referring to some of the other assessment tools we have, like Qual or Climate Qual. In some institutions, it is the same person that is involved in all these efforts. In other institutions, different people are managing different assessment activities, and as a result, we get to work closely with people who are from different departments and are working on the ARL. Some of them are working on the ARL statistics, others are working on the salary survey, and others are working on some of the other assessment tools we offer. So we think that some of you may be survey coordinators, so we do have a poll question for you. And the poll question asks you, are you responsible for gathering and or submitting ARL statistics And I'd like you to say yes if you're doing either the ARL Statistics or the Salary Survey. You can say no, but I do prepare the Academic Library Survey or the ACRL Statistics, since the ARL Statistics is used by ALA-ACRL to survey all academic libraries. And the third option is no, I do not prepare our library's annual statistics. And we also have another colleague standing by, David. David, can you tell us the results of the poll?
Sure thing, Martha. Let me stop it here and display it for everybody. Looks like we have about half the people on the line are ARL survey coordinators, and another quarter do prepare the ALS ACRL statistics, and another quarter do not prepare their library's annual statistics.
Okay, we have a good mix of people. So we will try to cover a little bit of content for every one of these categories. Thank you, David. So if you have been a survey coordinator last year or in earlier years, you will have seen and you are familiar to some extent with this website, the ARL Statistics website, and here's the screenshot. It tries, this site tries to bring together all the needed communication for the data collection, and we are actually augmenting this site with more content recently. Now, if you are new, we hope you will get to spend some time learning this site, and you will be happy to know that we constantly strive to improve it. The ARL Statistics website is one of the sites that feature library assessment tools, and it is housed under a more general gateway. We call it the StatsQual gateway. And what happens is with all the sites, all the websites under the StatsQual gateway, they have similar structures. So the structure of the ARL Statistics site, you may notice that it is parallel to the structure of the LibQual site, for example, if you are managing LibQual. So you have the links about, you have the analytics link, you have the news link, the publications link, and the events link. And these are standard categories across all the StatsQual gateway websites, the ARL Statistics in this case being one of them. So as you spend more time with the website, please know that we do want to receive feedback on future improvements from you. This is a constant moving target, and we are happy to keep after it. So briefly, what does the website include? This website focuses specifically on the series of annual data collection activities we have that describe the collections, expenditures, staffing, and service activities for ARL member libraries. As you may know, statistics have been collected for over 100 years now. Back in 1907-08, the data collection started at the University of Minnesota with Gerald. Gerald was the library director at that time, and this series actually has been published as the Gerald Statistics. And in 1961-62, ARL, the Association of Research Libraries, undertook the responsibility of collecting the annual ARL statistics. The website includes, at this point, a few things beyond just the comprehensive ARL statistics. We also collect data for the health sciences branches, for the law library branches. We collect data that are from outside sources. We try to bring them into this site. For example, university expenditures is something we track, and we go to the iPads data collection and pull the university expenditures and bring them on this site. And we do have the salary survey as well. For the first time this coming year, we will do the data collection of the salary survey through the same interface we're using for the ARL statistics. Last, we have a few other surveys. There is, for example, if you log in on the ARL Statistics website and you are a survey coordinator, you'll see the source of funds survey, a very short survey of a few questions. It's periodic. It's not regular. It's something that the directors want to know about, and whenever there is a surge of a need for them to know, to have updated information on the source of funds, of the budgeted amounts on the library expenditures, we put a call out there for another data collection. The ARL Supplementary Statistics aims to supplement the annual ARL statistics, and although it has happened for a number of years now, it doesn't happen every year. It will not happen next year. It is one of these revisions that have resulted from the recent deliberations on changing some of the way we do the annual data collection. And the website also has data and publications from an annual survey that we have discontinued, the ARL preservation statistics. The advice we have gotten is that we need to work more on developing something that's about special collections, and there is a little bit of background work happening right now on how we need to go about developing a survey for special collections, so you should stay tuned about these future developments. Now, one of the nice features of the ARL Statistics website is the analytics link. The analytics link provides access to the ARL Statistics in an interactive way, so you can manipulate the data. For member libraries who enter the data in the system, access to the data is available as soon as libraries click on the Submit button on the survey. This means that member libraries have ready access to the data even before the data are final, before the data are verified, and before they are officially published. Now, there is a difference between the ARL Statistics website for our members and the way they access the analytics part, and the ARL Statistics for our non-members and the way they access the analytics part. ARL is offering a subscription service to non-members, both libraries and individuals, and the non-member website is branded slightly differently. It is called ARL Statistics Interactive Analytics, as you can see on this slide, and it includes the final, verified, and published data. So there is a little bit of a time lag between the availability of the data on the ARL Statistics website, that is www.arlstatistics.org URL, and the interactive.arlstatistics.org URL, which is for the non-member libraries. So analytics or interactive analytics offers a number of capabilities, from ranking lists to creating ratios to downloading data, and my colleague Shanika Morris will tell you a few more things about this part of our website in the next segment, so you know where the data resides. Shanika?
Thanks, Martha, for that great introduction and segue into the ARL Statistics Analytics tool. My name is Shanika Morris, and I'm the Statistics Editorial Assistant for the Association of Research Libraries. I've spoken with many of you over the phone and via email, and for those of you that I haven't met in person, hopefully my picture puts a face to a name. I'm so excited to discuss the ARL Statistics Analytics tool and to demo the new ARL Statistics website later in the presentation. For now, we'll focus on the interactive analytics, which many of you may have used in your work. If you have not used the interactive analytics before, I think you'll be amazed at the dexterity of this tool, which will save you time and energy in your research and as you create reports. The complete ARL Statistics Data Series represents the oldest and most comprehensive continuing library statistical series in North America. How can you access this treasure trove of data? Through ARL Statistics Analytics, as shown on the next slide. ARL Statistics Analytics is the gateway to over 100 years' worth of information about ARL libraries. And as you can see, the interactive statistics will allow you to access and analyze ARL statistics data for use in your research in reports, either by generating rankings, generating summary statistics, or downloading the data, as Martha mentioned. I do want to take a moment to touch on an important distinction that I will revisit later in the presentation when we talk about the new ARL Statistics website. And that distinction is this. ARL Statistics Analytics does not contain PDFs of the ARL Statistics publications. Electronic access to ARL Statistics publications from before 2004-05 is freely available through the Publications tab on the website, which we'll see later in the presentation. Another important note is that currently the university and non-university data are available in ARL Statistics Analytics, but the law and health sciences data are not. Now, rest assured, we are working to add these data sets to analytics so that you can interactively analyze them along with the rest of the data. So here, before you, you see the two variations of the analytics tool that Martha talked about. ARL Statistics Analytics is the tool for member libraries, and that's going to be on the left-hand side of the screen, of the slide, rather. ARL Statistics Interactive Analytics is the tool for the library community at large, researchers, for-profit organizations, and any other individual or entity who wishes to access the ARL statistics data. As Martha pointed out, please do note the difference between the two URLs and also take note of the two subscription fee options for non-members. The subscription fee for nonprofit organizations is $500 for a 12-month subscription, and the fee for for-profit entities is $750 for a 12-month subscription. Moving on to the next slide, you can see that member institutions simply log in to the data entry interface, shown as step 1 on the slide, and then click Analytics, shown as step 2 on the slide, to access the interactive analytics. If you are participating in this webcast at a member institution and you're not the primary contact, but you would like access to ARL Statistics Analytics, please send an email to your primary contact in order to obtain access. As you can see on the following slide, members of the library community at large simply email stats@arl.org to obtain a subscription and log in at the interactive URL as indicated at the top of the screenshot. Step 1 on the screenshot shows where to click to log in, and the analytics window will appear immediately upon logging in, as shown on the next slide. This next slide will look a bit familiar to you, as Martha just spoke about it in her segue to this section of the presentation. Here you will see all of the tabs that are available in the interactive analytics for member libraries. The only difference between the member tool and the non-member tool, as Martha mentioned, is that, well, actually there are two. One, that the non-member tool, ARL Statistics Interactive Analytics, only allows access to the verified data, and also the tab lineup is a little bit different, as the membership index tab is not available in ARL Statistics Analytics. As you can see from the row of tabs, Analytics allows you to create ranked lists, to acquire summary statistics, to create graphs, download data, and more. You can also do peer comparisons, obtain ratios, such as, for example, library materials expenditures per student, and you can view the ARL Investment Index. Let's explore how to create a ranked list in the Analytics tool by looking at the next slide. So, once you access the Analytics tool, to obtain a ranked list, you'll simply click on the Ranked List tab, which is 1. Then you will select the variable for ranking. In this example, we have selected volumes held. Next, you'll select the institutions to rank, either university libraries, non-university libraries, or both. Then you'll select your search year. And do note that the year that's listed in the drop-down menu is the fiscal year. So 2010 represents the 2009-10 survey. And that's the one that we've used in this example. And then simply click Produce Data Listing, and the next slide will show the resulting ranked list. You can download the data to reproduce the ranked list on your own and or print the ranked list as it appears on the screen. The steps for obtaining a ranked list are the same in both versions of the Analytics tool. Interested parties can access both versions of the Analytics tool from the new ARL Statistics website, which we'll see later in the presentation. The beauty of ARL Statistics Analytics is that you can download the ARL Statistics data for use in your own reports and presentations, as Steve Hiller from the University of Washington and Jim Self from the University of Virginia have done. We'll hear from them next.
Thanks, Shanika. Steve Hiller from Seattle, and welcome. Here in Seattle, it's 50 degrees and raining. I understand it's cool on the East Coast as well. I know that many of you have used ARL Stats to compare your library to those at other universities. We know that ARL Stats are unique and a trusted source of data accepted by university administrators. Here at the University of Washington, during the past few years, we have woven ARL Stats into our annual budget narrative to make the case for university reinvestment in the library during a time of sharp budget reductions. The beauty of the ARL data, as Shanika mentioned, is that we can use the analytics, or in many cases we just take the Excel file and then can use it in many different ways. During the past 3 years, 3.5, since early 2009, the state of Washington has cut the funding to university by 50%, from $400 million to $200 million. And while tuition has increased substantially, it has not made up the difference. So when we do our annual budget narrative, I wouldn't call it a request because there are no numbers. It's really the story about the library and how we serve the university and make our students, faculty, and staff successful. We wanted to make a couple of points, and these points would not have been possible without the use of ARL Stats. The first is that we've fallen behind our competitors. Actually, we used to call them comparators, but now they're our competitors in university investment during the past 5 or 6 years. And you can see some of the areas that we're interested in. Secondly, we wanted to show that our staff and collection expenditures have been reduced during a period of strong student enrollment growth, double-digit growth, and, of course, a large increase in student tuition. There are more students, they are paying more, and they are getting less. So these stats are essential for us in making the points, and what we want to do is make those points simply and graphically. So in our this year's budget narrative, all of the university units were asked this question: how does your unit measure against other universities? In fact, this year's budget narrative request was very strong on metrics, measures, indicators, and benchmarking. And we were very fortunate to have not only this wonderful treasure trove of ARL data, but our own data as well. So you can see here in our answer, we said we benchmark against peer members Association of Research Libraries, and our peer group was the top quartile of U.S. public academic research libraries. And this is where we've traditionally been, and traditionally been at the median or above. And again, you can see some of the areas where we're looking at comparisons between these two. As I mentioned, we want to make our points simply, graphically. This is a chart that we actually used the preceding year, 2011, which we said we want to show that we're falling off the cliff. And what this did was very simple. We took ARL 2008-09 collection expenditures, and then 2009-10, and we just did the scatter plot for all of the libraries. And indeed, we were falling off the cliff. And so what we wanted to show our university administrators is that we were further or worse off than our competitors. Everybody was not in the same boat as we. We did get $2 million added to our collection budget. I'll take credit for it, but I'm sure there were a multitude of other factors as well. We also wanted to show that we have been lagging behind our competitors or peers over the past 8 years or so. And so what you see here is a chart showing total library expenditures for UW and for the ARL public institutions, the top quartile of them. These are medians. And in 2003 or 5, we were about 10% above. And as you can see, by 2009-11, we were about 10% below. So we really had slipped. And much of the slippage actually occurred during the so-called good years, that is from 2003 to 2008 or so. So again, this was a way for us to make our point clearly. We used annualized figures because we're on a biennial budget, and so that budget expenditure tends to shift from year to year depending on which year it is in the biennium. You can see here that our collection expenditures with the rank between UW and ARL, and that we have some variation between the years. We kind of go up, we kind of go down, but clearly in 2010-11, which is a year we actually should have risen, we went significantly lower. For the other point that we wanted to make about the increase in student enrollment, we could use very easily the ARL statistics to look at collection spending and to do a ratio, really, with full-time students. And, of course, the full-time student is IPEDS data. And so, again, you can see between 2006 and 2007 how that gap increased and became quite substantial. And by 2010-11, in fact, it would take about $5 million in additional collections funding for us to approach the median of the ARL public top quartile. On the other hand, we could reduce the other variable by cutting student enrollment by 11 or 12,000, but I don't think the university was interested in that. I think I'm okay. One other slide to show you, and that is using ARL data, is just in total staff. This is an efficiency one. We're always being asked, how efficient we are, and do we really need all these people in the library? And we can show that we were pretty close to the ARL median public top quartile for a number of years, but over the last 3 years have slipped much further behind. Finally, while ARL statistics are important and critical, they don't cover everything. They're basically input-output statistics. They don't look at effectiveness or user satisfaction. There are obviously other ways of doing that, including ARL's LiveQual. But we've done our own survey for a number of years. It's on a 3-year cycle. And here you can see that in the red, the faculty and the graduate students in 2010, this was after over a year of budget cuts, still gave us the highest satisfaction rating that they've ever done. Interesting enough, the undergraduate one went down, and when we looked at the reasons for that, it was due to a reduction in hours and overcrowded facilities. And, of course, we use that data along with gate counts and other information to make the case for investment for maintaining or extending hours, and we got additional funding for that. And we finally got funding for a long-planned project to do a major renovation of our undergraduate library. So just in closing, the data is just really critical. The way that you weave it in, the way that you support your story. We couldn't have done it without ARL data. Of course, it's also very helpful to have your own local data as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jim Self from the University of Virginia, and we'll give you a little bit of a description of some of the uses we've made over the years with ARL Statistics. We have a long history of using statistics at the University of Virginia, that we have been involved with ARL since the beginning of ARL. But like the University of Washington, we also collect a lot of our own data. We do customer surveys, we've done staff surveys, and have done a fair amount of mining records that we can find, do comparisons, benchmarks with our peers, or people who we'd like to be our peers, or, as Steve might say, our competitor libraries. We've also done a fair amount with qualitative techniques of getting people to tell us things in their own words. But we've gone back again and again to using the ARL statistics, and we have been doing that a long time. And in fact, one of our retired administrators here, our longtime deputy university librarian, was very instrumental in developing the first ARL index, the membership criteria index. It became known back in the 70s. So we feel like our work with ARL is something that's gone for a long time and has been very, very valuable. We've used it with benchmarking, but we've also done benchmarking using data within the university and with our ARL colleagues. I'll give you just a couple of examples here. This is something that was done some years ago in a report to the Provost, where we just looked at data from within the University of Virginia, and we tried to see what the trends were in budgeting, funding for the libraries and the other academic units. And we found that more was going to certain research activities, more going to IT, information technology, and the libraries and instruction were not growing at the same rate. And this is the type of thing we found useful to point out to the university administration to see if we could influence their, not priorities, at least their appropriations. Here's something we used that was from ARL data from the salary survey over the years, when we found that our librarian salaries were not keeping up with the ARL salaries, the medians there. So we made a case to the provost to have more salary funding coming our way, and it was successful at that time. You can see the blue UVA line running ahead of the red ARL median line. We also, in 2006, 2007, 2008, did a more intensive study using ARL salary data where we made an arrangement with ARL to buy data which was kept confidential as to which libraries were in there, but we had the raw data and the job titles with it, that we were able to use that information, which had the size of library, the job title, and look at our own people with those situations to see if they seemed to be underpaid or overpaid. We also factored in things like academic rank, their supervisory level, how long they had been professionals, did some regression analysis, and we were able to make a successful case to the provost that a couple of dozen people on our staff, librarians, were deserving of equity pay adjustments. So that was, we thought, a very profitable and useful mining of the ARL data. We're now in a situation at the university where we have an new university administration. We have on board a new president, a new provost, and a new chief operating officer of the university. So we're seeing changes here at the university, and most interestingly, we're seeing changes in the way of the budgeting, financial model. There's the university administration has said that we need to migrate from an appropriations-based model to one that fosters entrepreneurial and collaborative notions. And so they need data from all the units, including the library. They need benchmarking data, comparative data, and for that, we're using the ARL data. We're talking about our collections expenditures. We can, with the ARL data, you can use the whole data set, all 110 plus university libraries within ARL, or you can pick and choose of who you consider your peers or who you would like to be your peers. So we've presented data to the new administration, trying to educate them about the library, trying to answer the question of what does it take to be a top-tier library. And one thing that's recently been provided to the university administration actually came at the request of the provost, was asking how much is the library spending per full-time students. So we presented this chart to them that's filled with other institutions that may not be our peers really, but they're institutions that we would like to be peers of. And it gave the university administration a good idea of the library's support compared to these notable libraries on here. And if you look over this list, it's not entirely a random list. These are institutions that we think of peers are aspirational peers. But it's also interesting to note that our new president came from Michigan, Our new provost came from Duke. Our new chief operating and financial officer came from Johns Hopkins. So those three libraries happen to be chosen here. So we would not have been able to make this kind of presentation to answer the questions being asked of us in this new financial model, this new responsibility-centered financial scheme without the ARL statistics being available in all of their richness and longitudinal qualities. So I will now turn it back to Martha, who will give us some more information.
Thank you, Jim. It's really good to see good uses of these data, and I will talk a little bit about the revision process of the survey, because we do hope that with the revision process we've worked to maintain all the important and useful elements of the annual survey, and as you'll see, one of the goals was also to diminish the burden of filling in the survey, but increase the utility and enhance the relevance of the survey for the 21st century research library. And after I conclude my remarks, Jim and Steve maybe can give us a few words on how they view these revisions from their perspective, hoping we are increasing the utility and enhancing the survey relevance. So the review of the survey process started back in 2011, and it was focused on the ARL Statistics Survey, the Supplementary Statistics, and the Salary Survey. A word about the process. There was a task force that was established. The ARL board established this task force, and the task force was a subgroup of the ARL Statistics and Assessment Committee. Officially, task force on reviewing the ARL statistics, the ARL supplementary statistics, and the ARL annual salary survey. A 2-year work started in 2011, and it will continue until the end of 2012. The work of the task force started with interviews of all ARL directors. Members of the task force selected a subgroup of directors each person was interviewing, and more than 100 ARL directors were interviewed about the direction of the revision. And the direction of the revision was to focus on the important data elements, to modernize where modernization is needed, and to streamline. There was an initial set of recommendations that was forwarded in October 2011 to the ARL board and to the ARL membership. It was discussed and given the feedback and we've received, there was further work that took place between last October and this May. And after we received, we had an open call for comments to a draft version of the survey forms. The survey forms were final and approved, at least the survey forms that will be mailed this summer have been finalized at the May ARL Statistics and Assessment Committee meeting, and were presented at the membership at the business meeting. The actual forms are for the salary survey 2012, 2013, and the ARL Statistics 2011, 2012 are available on this URL. They are made available here to you even before the official mailing is taking place, so the ARL survey coordinators can plan accordingly and have some early planning. The website for the data entry is currently prepped for the data collection, and we hope to have the salary survey data entry available in July, and the ARL Statistics data collection, data entry interface available in August. So let's look at what's happening with some of the revisions. And many of you may have seen it because you've seen sort of the draft version of the form. So in terms of collections, we have a revised segment there, section of the survey. For collections, we will be asking for the number of titles, including all formats. We maintain the volumes held variable as it's been historically defined. And we also have a separate line for the number of e-books that is included under volumes held. So those people who want to actually get a volumes held number without e-books will be able to do so. The expenditures section has been revised along the following lines. The three major categories of expenditures, library materials, salaries and wages, and operating expenditures, have been maintained. But within the library materials section, we now have three main categories: one-time resource purchases, ongoing resource purchases, and a category we have labeled as collection support. This includes binding and memberships to other groups and consortia that facilitate and support content acquisition. The salaries and wages, just as a reminder, according to our instructions, excludes fringe benefits. And this has been maintained like that. But as we will see that in the next slide, we are actually introducing a separate line for fringe benefits with the upcoming survey. Now, in terms of slight changes, also the section on circulation has been slightly modified. We will be asking only initial circulations. Now, what new things are we asking? The fringe benefits is something that many in the community think is important to start tracking, especially now that libraries are moving, as we heard from Jim Self, to responsibility-based budgeting. What's happening with some of these new budgeting processes is that a larger portion of the fringe benefits expenditures is coming to the library. And as a result, we have a number of institutions that want to report fringe benefits. Now, this is not consistent across all the institutions, of course. We will have a line for fringe benefits in terms of reporting a dollar amount, and we have a line of fringe benefits in terms of reporting the designated official percent of fringe benefits the institution has. So there'll be two lines for capturing fringe benefit information. We do recognize that different institutions define fringe benefits differently, and we want to have good footnotes and explanatory contextual information around those two lines. Last, the new element that's coming from what used to be the supplementary statistics in the previous year. Two questions are migrating into the main ARL statistics. Questions related to the use of electronic resources, the number of successful full-text article requests for journals, and the number of total searches, result clicks, and record views for databases. And we have kept a number of sections unchanged. The personnel, instruction, reference, interlibrary loan sections are unchanged, and PhD degrees and number of faculty and enrollment are also unchanged. The some at this point, actually, before we look at some of the implications. Jim and Steve, would you like to share a word on the revision process?
Yeah, I think anything that's shorter and simpler is good. So we're very pleased to see that. Also incorporates the changes brought by electronic resources and kind of a more complex information world. But at the same time, looking at the 2E resource questions, we have good criteria for that in counter-compliant reports. So I think that's really important to capture what we can about the usage of electronic resources, but to do it in a way that would be consistent among libraries.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
I would agree that having the consistent electronic resources through Counter is really a good idea. And I also was very happy to see an old-fashioned number in there that by being able to subtract the e-books from the total volumes, you have the number of physical volumes, that a lot of us are facing storage issues, looking for storage collaboration partners and such. I think that will be very useful to have that number there. And I also think that counting titles of all types in all formats gives you a good picture of the range of your intellectual content, if you will.
Especially, thank you for mentioning the e-books, Jim. The e-books was a question in the supplementary statistics, and again, this is another element that's migrating to the main ARL statistics now. So the end result of this is that the survey is shorter. We hope it continues to be increasingly more useful. A couple of implications on the ARL index side. This is going to be the last year we will be calculating the ARL membership criteria index. We do have and are making publicly available the ARL investment index, and we will continue with that index forward. We have been talking with the ACRL ALA organization about our revisions, and the goal is to have the same form adopted by them. And the academic library survey, the national survey that's been implemented by the National Center for Educational Statistics, is also undergoing some internal repositioning within NCS, the National Center for Educational Statistics. It is going to be placed back into the IPEDS family of surveys. That's going to happen in 2014. So as that is happening, we're also in touch with the advisory committee for that survey, informing them about our changes, hoping that if there are changes on the academic library survey, they'll be along the same lines. Now, we try to make a lot of that information available through the website, and Shanika can tell you a little bit more about where you can find some of these goodies in our website. Shanika.
Thanks, Martha, for that engaging review of the changes to the 2011-12 ARL Statistics Survey. If you have not seen the new website yet, I think you'll be happy to find that the new site houses information about the ARL statistics all in one place. This new site will make it easier for you to find and access content about the ARL statistics. And Martha's just put up a picture of the homepage for the ARL Statistics website, which will look familiar to those of you who've been on the LibQual website. Here on the ARL Statistics website is where you will find the revised 2011-12 survey form and other subsequent documents which will be made available in the coming weeks, such as an Excel spreadsheet with formulas for use in calculating figures for the new and revised questions, and a recording of this webcast. And I'm especially excited about creating video tutorials for all of you to use as well. So what we see is all the content will be in one place. This includes the things, the machine read data, the ARL Statistics publications, events, and, of course, the Analytics tab. On the next slide, we see how to access the annual mailings on the new site. So basically, you would just go to arlstatistics.org, click About, and click Mailings, and the Mailings screen will appear as shown on the next slide. So, and when you get to this next slide, you'll see that the ARL statistics are in the left-hand column, and the annual survey, the annual salary survey are in the right-hand column. If you were to go to the site right now, you would see that the links for the current survey year are up and ready for you to have a look at. Moving on to the next slide, some of you may use the machine-readable data in your work. The website will feature a new comprehensive data file that covers the entire data set from 1907-08 to the present, along with the revised and updated guide to the machine-readable data. We also have the Publications tab, which has been populated, and the Publications tab contains electronic access to ARL Statistics publications prior to 2004-05 and the machine-readable files and articles about the ARL statistics. And so Martha's just put up the slide for how to access the machine-readable data. You simply click on Publications and then click on Advanced Options and select Machine-Readable Data and Guide, and the machine-readable file will come up for you, okay? Next, we'll have a look at the publications portion of the website. To access the annual publications, simply click on Publications, and the full list of annual publications will appear. This slide shows the salary survey publications, which are also available on the ARL Statistics website. We've used a globe graphic to denote publications that are available by subscription and a PDF graphic to denote the publications that are open access. And, of course, you can always search by keyword or type as shown in the previous slide. Moving on. Please note that print copies of the annual publications are still available. Simply follow the link to the web order form to place your order. And you'll also see on this slide that the ARL Statistics webpage contains information about stats-related events such as the survey coordinators meetings, ARL events at ALA Annual and ALA Midwinter, and in the coming weeks a recording of this webcast. This content is open to everyone so that the library community at large can keep apprised of all stats-related events and important information about the ARL statistics and our other annual surveys. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Martha to close out the presentation.
So as you know, the program's main goal is to describe research libraries and their contributions to teaching, research, and scholarship. And over the years, we have worked to shift the focus from merely describing to emphasizing the contribution and value of libraries to the university. Before we say our goodbyes, I want to highlight a very important effort that took place for the first time in ARL's history in 2010, the publication of the ARL profiles, narrative descriptions of no more than 5 pages per ARL library that highlight the unique contributions our member libraries are making to teaching, research, and learning processes within our universities. This publication has brought forward in a qualitative and contextual way the contributions of research libraries in a way that we now have the profiles that serve as a complement to the annual ARL statistics. The goal is for the profiles to be updated on a periodic basis. It was recommended every 5 years. And even though the 2010 are somewhat outdated, they do capture the important shifts that are taking place at our libraries. And at the same time, they capture the enduring values and contributions of research libraries. And among those enduring values are the superb ability of these research institutions to serve the public good, the demands for global expansion, the ability to develop and set standards and best practices, and the unique national and international responsibilities for the betterment of our students and faculty. Clearly, the profiles is one way to capture the shifts happening, yet another way to share what's happening is by coming to the Library Assessment Conference and participate actively in the community we have established. The next event is taking place in Charlottesville. We do have close connections with the University of Virginia, and this conference is co-sponsored by the University of Virginia, the University of Washington, and the Association of Research Libraries. So we hope to see many of you there in October. And the next actually is a poll. We are asking you to tell us whether you plan to attend the Library Assessment Conference. So as you take a minute to answer this poll, David will give us the answer in a minute. Let me tell you, registration will open in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned. David?
Yes, just should be out there, so people are answering right now. We'll give it a quick another second and stop it. And display the results for everyone to see. And it looks like we have, yet again, over half of the people saying that they do plan on attending the conference, and another quarter or so saying that they might be able to attend.
Great, thank you. I would like to thank Jim Self and Steve Hiller, who are my co-chairs for the Library Assessment Conference, and for their valuable contributions to this webinar we had today. And I also want to thank all my colleagues here at ARL, our team members, beyond me and Shanika and David, Chris Merriman and Gary Roebuck and Henry Gross. And we look forward to receiving your data, compiling them in useful ways, and offering them to you through easy-to-use web interfaces. And if they are hard, we're here to answer your questions and make them simpler for you. So look forward to seeing you soon, either on Friday before ALA in Anaheim, or next October at the Library Assessment Conference. Thank you.